Good morning, folks. Welcome. It's Monday, June 6th. This is episode 125 of Simply Cyber's Daily Cyber Threat Briefing. I'm your host, Gerald, and over the next 30 minutes, I'll be delivering the top cybersecurity news of the day and providing expert analysis on each of these stories, what it means to you as a practitioner, or if you're looking to break in the industry, we got you covered. Shout out and thanks to this stream's sponsor, the one and only Barricade Cyber Solutions. Cyber criminals have stolen your company's data and derailed your business operations. Never fear, Barricade Cyber Solutions will help you resolve this ransomware attack and get your business back on track. You definitely don't want to be figuring out who's going to help you deal with a ransomware attack when you're actually ransomware. So consider reaching out and establishing a relationship with Barricade Cyber Solutions, at least just to see what it looks like when you're getting slapped around by ransomware. I want to remind you, if you hold a professional certification that requires CPEs, each episode of First Things First is worth half a CPE, so 2.5 a week, 10 a month. Be sure to document literally the easiest and I would argue the most enjoyable way to earn CPEs. Best way to do it, just say what's up in chat and make sure your name is in there. Like Chris Hidalgo just said good morning. Boom, half a CPE. There you go. Duresh, Mark Lester, good to see you guys. If you're live, love it. Thanks for being here. I see 38 of you stacking in here. It is a Monday morning after a weekend. So, I would expect people are a little slow, getting the coffee going and all that. So, but the good news is if you're on replay, I really appreciate that you're watching on replay and you get the benefit of being able to jump into the future. So when that timer gets to 0 in the corner, we'll start this briefing. So feel free to grab the time marker and scrub to the right. But for all of those in chat live right now, good morning to you. Let's spend the next 2 minutes and 45 seconds saying good morning and saying what's up. Hey, Annalyn, good to see you. Hey, Eddie on YouTube. Good to see you. Dev Meister, always in chat. Dominic LaPlante, I see you. Hey, Bill Green. Duffster J. Gotta love the coffee, man. Hey, Kendrick. Hey, Kimberly. Hope everything's well. Just passed Sec Plus on Friday. Nice. Way to go. Love it. Here, let's throw a fireball at that. Nice job. Love it, Chris. Good work, man. Oh, yeah, Chris was, I gave a talk this Saturday with Cyber Raisis on their Discord server on a day in the life of GRC Analyst. And it was a great time, good talk, good audience. Kind of poo-pooed on IT people a little bit, but I did qualify all of my statements and hopefully had objective backing on why I was saying what's up. Devlin Rodriguez, what's up, doctor? I love it. Good to see you, Devlin, on LinkedIn there. Hey, Stephen Kalamoko, good to see you. Jonathan Casanova, Jess Bishops. Jess Bishop is dropping great ideas for the Threat Gen Red versus Blue Wednesday live streams. Really appreciate that, Jess. I'll be teasing what's going on this Wednesday for that. It'll be much more basic, but sometimes the fundamentals are critically important to understand. Hey, Pamela. Hey, Lego Security. Rachel on LinkedIn, good morning to you. Cheers, everybody. Axiom Brevity's up in here. Guys, love the coffee. I did switch my syrup over to agave, like cactus sugar. It's all right. It's not exactly my bag, but, I'm not eating it into the river. I've always made fun of IT people until I watched the show IT Crowd and became one. That's right, Joel. If you guys haven't seen IT Crowd on, I forget what streaming service it's on. It was originally on BBC television. This show right here. It is awesome. Here, let me get rid of my silly face really quick here. Oh, I don't know how to. Here, there it is. That's what it looks like. All right. Give that a shot. It's definitely, definitely a great show. Loved it. All right, let's see. I think it's still on Netflix. Yeah, definitely check it out if it's on Netflix, guys. We got 19 seconds before we dig in. Hopefully this coffee kicks in. I feel like, like when you're starting the mower or you're starting any engine after it's been off for a while, it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I feel like that's where I am right now. Long weekend. All right, so the timer has timed. Elroy Jetson, I see you. Josh Mason. Hey, Miss Julian, always nice to see you in chat. Hey, Chinadu, I do owe you a resume review. I have not forgotten. All right, guys. Oh, my gosh. Okay, coffee in the house. Guys, if you want to follow along, go over to cisoseries.com. David Spark and his gang always putting the news together for us. But otherwise, sit back, relax, and let's do our threat briefing.
From the CISO series, it's Cybersecurity Headlines.
It's Monday, June 6, 2022. Evasive phishing mixes reverse tunnels and URL shortening services. Security researchers are seeing an uptick in the use of reverse tunnel services along with URL shorteners for large-scale phishing campaigns, making the malicious activity more difficult to stop. This practice deviates from the more common method of registering domains with hosting providers. With reverse tunnels, threat actors can host the phishing pages locally on their own computers and route connections through a URL shortening service, generating new links as often as they want to bypass detection. The most widely abused reverse tunnel services that CloudSec found in their research are ngrok, localhost run, and Cloudflare's Argo. They also saw bit.ly, is.gd, and cut.ly URL shortening services also prevalent.
All right, so I wish I could find, how can I, I want to be able to hide my camera really quickly so you guys can see. Oh, here it is. Check this out. All right, so this is the overall flow right here. Basically, what they're saying is phishers, aka they say scammers in this graphic right here, are basically leveraging two kind of technologies in order to have more effective phishing. Although I wouldn't say it's more effective, it's actually easier maintenance from what I can tell for the threat actors. Josh Mason, red team folks, you can, I'd be curious, you drop comments in chat here. Okay, so a couple things. First off, URL shortening services, really easy. Like Bitly is a good one that you may be familiar with. Amazon is AMZN or whatever. Basically, URL shortening services are exactly what they say. They allow you to take this long, ridiculous URL that has all sorts of arguments and flags passed into it, to make it something easy, like bit.ly dot whatever, and then a short thing. It looks good on a little post, right, on social media. Very easy. And then the Bitly service will actually resolve it. Like you go to Bitly to set up the URL shortener, they capture in their service what the shortened URL is to the long, ugly URL, right? So that's the service. Now, you definitely want to guide your end users to be mindful of these URL shortening services because, we say, hey, don't go to, Microsoft-help.com or don't go to like badguysite.microsoft.com, right? So, or it would be Microsoft.badguysite.com. Anyways, long story short, these are URL shortening services to obfuscate. What they're doing here is all they're doing is doing a reverse tunnel back to their own machine. So here's the thing. Like to me, this is, I wouldn't say, yeah, I mean, I guess it is what it says it is. It's not really getting salacious. The whole thing is, look at this picture, right? Remove the scammer's machine. Normally, you would host your phishing page using secure social engineering toolkit or Black Eye or whatever solution you have that generates and manages your fake landing page that's going to harvest credentials, right? Or do water holing attack. Normally, you would host it on this ngrok thing right here. So all they're doing in addition is they're hosting it on their own machine and having a reverse tunnel from the ngrok, which just means that the scammer's machine, you're able to manage the payloads and what the login page looks like a little bit easier. You get notified faster when you've compromised credentials, right? It's not really a new novel technique. You're literally just moving the host page or whatever from the ngrok server to the scammer's machine, right? So these techniques and this URL shortening service are not new. They're just being paired together. So whatever. It's a good opportunity to refresh yourself on these techniques. I will say that Daniel Lowry on IT Pro TV, he actually did a video maybe, I don't know, 2-3 months ago. If you look him up, you'll see. He actually did this ngrok reverse shell like type attack thing, and he has like a nice little demo on it. So it's worth looking at if any of this interests you or you're confused about what I'm talking about. Daniel has a very well done video that steps you through it.
Exploit released for Atlassian Confluence RCE bug, so patch now. Proof of concept exploits for the actively exploited critical vulnerability impacting Atlassian Confluence and data center servers have been widely released this weekend. Tracked as CVE 2022-26134, it is a critical, unauthenticated remote code execution vulnerability exploited through OGNL injection, and which impacts all Atlassian Confluence and Data Center 2016 servers after version 1.3.0. This allows unauthenticated remote attackers to create new admin accounts and ultimately take over the server. On Friday, Atlassian released security updates to fix the vulnerability, just as attacks escalated in the wild.
Okay, so there's actually a lot. There's a lot to share here. Okay, first of all, Atlassian released a patch for a vulnerability that had just come out. It looks like. So normally, the vulnerability comes out. Maybe there's a patch, maybe there's not. Maybe there's an exploit, maybe there's not. It all affects the value of the vulnerability score. This one moved quickly, so they had the vulnerability. Then there is a proof of concept released, and they're seeing threat intelligence services are seeing unique IPs either trying to execute the attack or successfully executing the attack. This, by the way, is a unauthenticated. Okay, this is not good. Unauthenticated remote code execution vulnerability. This is pretty much the worst. If you see unauthenticated, that means anybody anywhere on the internet anonymously can execute the attack, right? You don't have to have permissions, you don't have to have be in the system or anything like that. You can just do it. So this is never good, right? Unauthenticated attacks are not good. And then remote code execution is also horrible because typically it means you can execute any arbitrary code you want to on the machine, which obviously is the worst, right? Because then you can execute malware, payloads. Typically you'll execute a shell, so then you can get into the machine and start doing more like find out what account you've got, maybe do privilege escalation, move up. And it's on Atlassian Confluence and data center servers. These things are everywhere, right? So if you are using this in your environment, I cannot implore you enough to seek this patch out from Atlassian and make sure you've done it, okay? This is a perfect example of like no screwing around, okay? Like this is a major vulnerability and there's active exploitation going on in the wild. So if you have this in your environment and you're not doing anything about it, you are definitely playing with fire. So, and if you need to escalate this as like an emergency change control, you can use the information in this particular story to help you make that compelling argument. Now, I do want to point one other thing here. They talked about how gray noise is providing this information. Gray noise is another one of those like cool threat intelligence services. I've actually done some stuff online on Simply Cyber with gray noise. Pulse Dive's another one that you could check out. But anyways, I just want to give a shout out to Gray Noise because they do have a really cool like interface. Obviously, it's dark mode, which is like all my speed. Let me see. Well, hold on. All right, I won't mess with this right now. But anyways, Gray Noise is worth checking out. If you're a professional, my memory serves, Gray Noise was like not for students or people dabbling with threat intelligence, like the way you can do with some of the other threat intelligence services like Cisco Talos or those type of things are made for like general consumption. Gray Noise is much more of a tool for security operation analysts.
Lawmakers are racing to pass tech antitrust reforms before midterms. The American Innovation and Choice Online Act is just a few steps away from becoming federal law. Known among lawmakers as the Self-Preferencing or Anti-Discrimination Bill, the legislation would prohibit dominant tech platforms like Amazon, Apple, and Google from giving preferential treatment to their own services in markets that they operate. For example, it could prevent Google from having its own travel recommendations at the top of search results, or Amazon might have to ensure its own products are ranked by the same criteria as competitors' products. The bill has overcome intense lobbying from the tech industry, and there are increasingly signs it will move forward before the August recess.
That's very interesting. Okay, so this is one of those ones that it affects big tech, but it's not really a cybersecurity story in any capacity. But weigh in your thoughts in chat because I'd be curious. I'll at the crux of this, we'll use a use case to highlight this. This bill is it looks like it's being rammed through Congress or through legislation. I'm not sure. It's being rammed through, obviously, because of the partisanship that's currently in power versus what will happen after midterms. The idea here is that big tech companies will not be able to align their products in a preferential way outside of like the normal algorithm. And like the perfect use case for this is when you Google like running shirt or not Google, excuse me. You go onto Amazon to look for running shirts, right? I did this yesterday. I go on Amazon, look for running shirts, right? The first one is Amazon Basics shirt. And then it's like other running shirts, or you need an HDMI cable, and it's like here's a sponsored cable that someone paid some business paid to be the first, and then here's an Amazon Basic, right? So they're saying that Amazon shouldn't be allowed to put their own product at the top of the rank or near the top because it's preferential, right? I don't know. I mean, I don't see, I don't see what the problem is. It's their company, right? They would sell that space to another company. So what's the difference between that and them selling it to them, quote unquote, selling it to themselves, right? I don't know. One thing that is kind of a shady practice that I have seen though is that Amazon has all the telemetry and all the data, right? All the stats on what people are searching for, and they use that information to decide what to use for making Amazon Basics. I've heard that. That way they never invest Amazon Basics product line on things that aren't like top tier searched things. But my initial thought right off the rip is I don't see like why, unless you're saying it's antitrust, but it's not like they're not showing other results. They're just putting the Amazon Basics one at the top. I don't know. I'd be curious what chat says. I'll watch after.
Evil Corp pivots to Lockbit to dodge U.S. sanctions. Evil Corp has shifted to Lockbit ransomware after U.S. sanctions have made it difficult for the cybercriminal group to reap financial gain from its current activity. This, according to researchers from Mandiant. The researchers are tracking what they call a financially motivated threat cluster named UNC2165 that has numerous overlaps with Evil Corp and is highly likely the latest incarnation of the group. UNC2165 is using a combination of the fake updates infection chain to gain access to target networks, followed by the Lockbit ransomware. This was summarized in a report written by the Mandiant researchers and released Thursday. They wrote that this activity appears to represent another evolution for Evil Corp's affiliated actors.
Oh, did you see what they did there with the play on words? Instead of evolution and evolution? Okay, so check this out. Couple things to share. First of all, if I'm not mistaken, Eric Taylor from Barricade Cyber Solutions said on Friday to me that Lockbit is a lot of threat actors are starting to use Lockbit as the ransomware payload because it's incredibly fast. It's written in Rust, I think, and it just super fast, right? Which is good if you are the threat actor encrypting data. Secondly, you might say like, how does U.S. sanctions affect this company, right? They get paid in Bitcoin. Well, the deal is that U.S. legislation has forbid businesses through sanctions from doing business with Evil Corp in this capacity. Essentially, they are not allowed to pay the ransom from Jump Street, right? So it's not even a question of will they pay, will they not pay, how painful is it, what's the ransom? They just straight up can't pay. Period. End of story. So Evil Corp is trying to find a way around that in order to continue to get back on track and start getting paid, basically. But the thing is, it sucks for the victim organizations because even if they want to pay, they can't, right? I mean, that's one way to stem it, but the victim organization still suffers. Just as a quick reminder, the way that Evil Corp, apparently, according to this story, is executing its attack is using fake updates. So, guys, if you get the pop-up hey, like you need to install this Chrome update. Hey, you need to like Adobe Premiere, like whatever it is, it's not actually tied to the app it says needs an update, right? It's not like it says you need to update Flash and it's a Flash exploit that you're executing. It's just some bullcrap updates and you click through it, socially engineered, like being tricked to install stuff on your computer that isn't appropriate. And then likely you're not installing the ransomware. Likely you're installing some type of stage 2 payload that then the evil core group is going to use C2 to look at what they got, maybe get in there, move laterally, deploy malware or ransomware, and execute at that point. If I had to guess, that's how it would look. But this is a good story. I mean, it's not a good story, but it's a good story as far as lots of touch points on the current state of cybersecurity and what threat actors look like. Evil Corp is not to be messed with. They are like Wizard Spider, aka Quantum Ransomware Gang. They're a big deal. Evil Corp is also big game hunting and not to be trifled with.
And now a word from our sponsor, Plex.
All right, now a word from our sponsor, guys. Really quick, if you haven't done it already. Gerald Dozier, Simply Cyber on Instagram. This is the official Instagram account for Simply Cyber, the channel that you're actually watching right now. I just started going bananas up on the Instagram. I'm trying to do some stuff. I got, your regular post here. I'm going to start doing some behind the scenes, either reels or stories once I figure out what the heck the difference is between those things and how to do them. But I am making a concerted effort. So if you're interested in a little bit more dynamic content, a little bit more like punchy content. Like I think I gave a talk at Cyber Races this weekend and I recorded it. And there's a lot of just punch nuggets, like, oh, this little fact or this little fact. So I'm thinking I might carve those out and just make them, again, stories or reels. I don't even know if that's the appropriate way to do stories and reels, but that's my thought. So if you do Instagram and you want another cybersecurity account in there, go over to Gerald Dozier Simply Cyber and dig in, and we'll hang out and have a good time.
Premier pen test reporting and management platform. That's plextrac.com/CISO series. Iranian hackers planned attack on Boston Children's Hospital last summer, according to the FBI.
Gross.
The FBI managed to detect and mitigate this attack, said Director Christopher Wray on Wednesday at the Boston Conference on Cybersecurity. Calling the incident one of the most despicable cyber attacks he has seen, Wray noted that the threat was hardly an isolated one. In 2021, the FBI saw ransomware attacks against 14 of the 16 services deemed critical infrastructure by the U.S. government, including hospitals. The FBI issued a warning last November that Iranian hackers were seeking data that could be used to hack U.S. companies. CISA issued...
I mean, there's nothing... I just skimmed the story. There's nothing in the story about what kind of attack on Boston Children's Hospital, right? It doesn't say ransomware. It doesn't say denial of service. It doesn't say wiper. We don't know what they were going to do, but it is worth noting. I was doing some... I was making video content for the summer course that I'm teaching at the Citadel. And I was in MITRE ATT&CK looking at the different threat actor groups. And we often talk about China and Russia in North Korea a little bit as being kind of the premier threat actor groups. But Iran has a lot of threat actor groups, surprisingly. So it's worth noting that they are having an increased presence in their activities and an increase in their efficacy and just impact in general. Now, way to go, FBI. This is one of those, you watch the made for TV dramas about the FBI and they stop the attack right at the end. And then all the, the public never finds out about it. And they're just kind of going about their day. This is another one of those. Now, it is worth mentioning really quickly that this is not the first time Boston Children's Hospital was in the news. A couple, maybe 6-7 years ago, you may recall, I believe it was claimed to be anonymous, but they actually ended up finding the guy who was behind it. Somebody denial of service Boston Children's Hospital. And if you're not familiar with Boston, basically the healthcare, it's really great healthcare, but the healthcare, like Beth Israel, I think it's Deaconess and Boston Children's, they're all kind of tied together. And the denial of service brought all of them down. And it was a hacktivist type attack. We don't see hacktivism a lot, although I guess this Ukraine IT army is hacktivism. But basically, it's a long story. But long story short, the hospital took a child away from the parents because there was evidence of abuse, and the parents flipped out and said that the hospital was violating their rights. And the anonymous collective had sided with the parents and attacked the hospital and brought it down. Anyways, long story short, you can Google it. There was a full adjudication because they caught the guy who was behind it, and he's in jail now. So, anyways, Boston Children's Hospital in the news.
Vulnerability advisory for select Dominion voting equipment and urges updates. Vulnerabilities within some Dominion voting machines used in roughly a dozen states should be mitigated as soon as possible, the U.S. government's top cybersecurity official said in an advisory issued Friday afternoon. The issue is around the Dominion Voting Systems Democracy Suite ImageCast X, which is an in-person voting system that allows voters to mark their ballots. CISA notes that while its technical flaws should be mitigated as soon as possible, it has no evidence that these vulnerabilities have been exploited in any elections so far.
Here we go. Now, this... hold on. I'm just looking really quick at this. This is from the CISA advisory. This is around this. Interesting. Really quick. The Dominion voting machines are based on Android operating system. That's interesting. That's interesting, man. It's very interesting. Okay. So here's the deal. It's probably because we're getting into midterm elections, but last week we saw a story on the voting machines and vulnerabilities. Now we're seeing another story. So clearly there's an uptick in reporting. So I don't know, again, if that's tied because elections are coming up and it's very timely or relevant. But guys, I'm really concerned as I'll just say this and move on. As cybersecurity professionals, we know that all vulnerabilities are not created equal, right? You can have like a little vulnerability that has like CVSS score of like 0.1 because it's like completely impossible to exploit, and you have to be physically there, and you need like alligator clips and UART to connect pins on the motherboard, and like a million things, right? Versus this Atlassian one we covered earlier, which is like the Hot Mess Express with remote code, unauthenticated execution, right? So, but people, the general population, right? End users, Carl, all of them, they don't know the difference, right? It just says vulnerability. So the Dominion voting machine, CISA released that it had a vulnerability. We can't believe the efficacy and the results of the voting machine. That's my fear, that this will be used as a bullet point to underline why the integrity of the voting is in question. Again, I mentioned it last week, Voting Village or hacking the Voting Village or something like that. DEF CON has a whole village just around voting machines. And the nice thing is that village and that conference will happen prior to the midterm elections. So hopefully some information comes out there. The other side of that coin, though, that sucks is that I could see some good research coming out of that village this year and being reported in a way that pairs with this story and stories like this that, shakes the confidence that the American public have in the voting integrity. So let's hope for the best. Let's hope for the best. Little lucky Mario coins.
Another $250,000 in Ethereum drifts away from the Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Great cash, homie.
This is the third security breach that the NFT Yacht Club has suffered this year. The hackers conducted a phishing attack by setting up a site that impersonated the official Bored Ape Yacht Club and announcing that Bored Ape NFT holders and others holding similar NFTs were allowed to claim a free NFT for a short period of time. The bogus website was advertised through the official Bored Ape Yacht Club Discord using the account of a Yuga Labs community manager that had previously been hacked. Yuga Labs is the creator of the Bored Ape series.
Brilliant. Okay, guys, this is one of those ones where you're going to be like, is Jerry like pro bad guy? Okay, no. First of all,
I'm a crypto evangelist. I love it, love it, love it.
Check it out. First of all, just because you're wealthy and can afford $250,000 NFTs doesn't mean you're smart. Like intelligence and wealth are not, there's not a correlation between those two, right? Sometimes there are, sometimes there's not. Here's the deal. This right here, again, guys, I don't know if you recall or if you're new here, I have done, I wouldn't say extensive research into the NFT space, but I put some money into it, expected to lose it, lost it, but I got a good feel for how this whole ecosystem works. Okay. Check it out. This is a perfect example of how these hacks and how the fraud works. So Bored Ape Yacht Club, it's an NFT project. All the NFTs are worth a lot of money. Seth Green just got robbed the other day. Lots of people are getting robbed all over the place. A lot of celebrities own Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs. That's why they're, kind of popular right now. Here's what happened. This is happening all the time. Okay. All these projects will have a Discord server. Okay. You will get DM'd in the Discord server, or someone will post to like the general chat or something like this. And they'll post this, right? Hey, check out this link to claim your free island, right? So this is classic fish, right? Here's something very juicy, very appealing to encourage you to take some action. In this case, connect your wallet, right? And you get something for it. Now, here's the brilliant part. These things happen all the time. It's like Fraud City up in these Discord servers. But most times you get DM'd, and after you see a couple of them, you're like, this is totally sus. Like, I'm not into this. Well, way to go, bad guys, because they actually compromised one of the administrators of the project, right? And it sounds like they had the creds for this administrator for a while, and they sat on them. And then they built this little fake website in order to connect and like steal from your wallet, steal your NFTs. Then they took the administrator's account, posted it to the Discord server, and boom, it was like lighting a fuse on a bomb, and just it blew up. And I don't even know how many of these Bored Apes that they stole, but guys, NFTs, once it's gone, it's gone. It whoever owns it, it's what it says on the blockchain. So if I compel you to move your NFT from your wallet to my wallet, according to the blockchain, which is objective and doesn't give a crap about fraud or anything like that. If it says I own it, I own it. I don't need to right click save because I own the original, right? So it sounds like they got 91 NFTs worth $1,345,000. So, whew, not a bad piece of work. This Bored Ape Yacht Club and all this fraud, at least, you know what the nice thing is? The nice thing to me is that because Bored Ape Yacht Club is so mainstream and these hacks and these frauds are happening to celebrities that the general media cares about, it's making headlines in general news, giving awareness to general population of all this NFT fraud and crap like that. Because this is happening on all the NFT projects. It's just this one's getting reported on. So there's that silver lining.
Now, the week in ransomware. It has been a busy week. In addition to the already mentioned pivot into ransomware by Evil Corp, last week also saw the new industrial spy group applying greater pressure on victims by hacking their websites to display ransom notes. Conti leaks are revealing that the ransomware gang was working on exploits for the Intel management engine to plant bootkits and malicious firmware. Clop ransomware targeted 21 victims in a single month. Magnibber ransomware now targets Windows 11 machines. Foxconn is confirming a Lockbit ransomware attack that happened in May 2021, and Costa Rica continues to be targeted by the Hive ransomware group.
Wow.
Just a reminder.
Okay, Jesus. Okay, so this story, this news site, whatever, maybe JN66 Data Analytics. I don't know if they do this all the time, but this is like news slapping you in the face, right? It's like a blah 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 blah. Like these are just bullet points of like interesting news things. Each one of these could be like a tweet, basically, or an Instagram post. Maybe look at Gerald Lozier Simply Cyber for some posts on this stuff. Basically, we've covered all this stuff, right? Evil Core moving to Lockbit, no big deal. Conti leaks working on the Intel management engine. We covered that last Thursday. So guys, ransomware gangs are just continuing to develop their craft, develop their approach. Guys, we get up and go to work, roughly, right? Get up Monday morning, get your coffee, do the threat briefing, go to work, 9 to 5, whatever. Threat actors, they're basically operating kind of similar. They might have different hours, but they have a bundle of work that they execute on. They have a boss who's telling them what their priorities are for that week. They have meetings and stuff. So it's not really that different. It's just their product is crime. So very, very interesting. Okay. So nothing really crazy to report, except I guess the macro idea that like ransomware is so rampant that we can do weekly digests of just ransomware operations. All right. So want to remind everybody, if you haven't yet, go over to ThreatGen, their YouTube channel. I will be dropping it in chat here. I'll be pairing this with Simply Cyber, but if you go to the ThreatGen channel, you can see it. This Wednesday at 11:30 a.m., I play the Red versus Blue cybersecurity simulation platform. I do the red team versus an active adversary, blue team AI, or this week I'll be a blue teamer and having an AI red teamer trying to attack my organization. Nothing crazy this particular week as far as like some bend to it. Like last week I was Wizard Spider. A couple weeks ago, I showed you the NIST cybersecurity framework and how you might implement that in an org. This will just be me playing as the blue team. I will be using Gerald Dozier's strategies and experience to defend, and I might even make it 75 turns to give the AI a little bit of a help in order for them to successfully realize their things. I think the win condition I'll be going for this week is remediating all vulnerabilities in my environment. Okay, so if you're interested in learning through a practical use case scenario how to build a cybersecurity program effectively, I'm looking at you, GRC people. If you want some context on how to build a program from nothing, I will be walking you through it. And I'll probably talk about NIST CSF quite a bit because I'm such a NIST fanboy and love their framework when it's appropriate. It's not always appropriate. Spoiler alert. I'll even admit that. So yeah, there's no Thursday live stream this week, but that's okay. I've got some personal things going on that I got to take care of. Hope you enjoyed the stream today. Thank you everyone for being here, showing up, engaging in chat. If you got value, hit like, but more importantly, if you got value, share it with your social network. Let other people know about what we're doing here every morning and the value that it can bring to them as professionals or students in the cybersecurity space. That's going to do it for episode 125, June 6th. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Cheers, everybody.